Hello, everyone. I'll just give some time for everyone's audio to connect here, and then we'll get started. Alrighty, so we can get started now. First off, I'd like to thank you for being here today. On behalf of Smart Dolphins, I'd like to welcome you to today's Copilot webinar. My name is Matthew, and my name is Matthew, and I'm the marketing coordinator here at Smart Dolphins. Before handing it over to our trainer, I'd like to quickly share some information on our upcoming public webinars. On November 21st, we're covering Microsoft Teams virtual meetings. On November 28th, we're covering cybersecurity for leaders. And on December 5th, we're covering Microsoft Outlook, Planner, and To Do. Please visit our website to register. If you have any questions today, please feel free to pop them into the Q&A here in the webinar, and we'll tackle them live or save them for the end. There is a handout located in the chat. Please feel free to download and follow along. I'd now like to introduce our trainer for today's presentation. It's a great pleasure to welcome Jolyn Reen. Jolyn stands out as a Microsoft Master Trainer and Instructor, having over 30 years of experience. Thank you for joining us today, Jolyn. Please take it away.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Matthew. So welcome everybody to our session here today on using Copilot with Microsoft Edge and Windows 11. So before I kind of dive into this, if you open up your handout, of course, everything that I'll be talking about today will be included in your handout. But what I wanted to mention first before we get started is there has been an update to Microsoft Edge and to Windows with this Copilot capability. And the reason that I'm bringing that up is because anytime that you have updates, you know that there can be some slight issues that can happen along the way that they don't discover during the testing time. And so just so you know, there are a couple of quirks of things that I've discovered that aren't quite working the way that they're supposed to, but I did read that Microsoft is in the works of getting everything fixed, so there shouldn't be any issues here shortly. So just so you're aware of that. But with that being said, what exactly is Copilot? Well, Copilot is similar to ChatGPT in the respect that it can help us to look up information. And the information and how we look things up can be accessed multiple places. So when we talk about Edge and we talk about Windows 11, Edge is Microsoft's internet browser. Google has their own Copilot type application, but built into Windows 11, because of course Windows operating system is Microsoft as well, they are incorporating tools to be used with Copilot. So Copilot is an AI tool that uses the large language model to be able to gather information based on how we chat. So we'll get into, of course, some examples and where do we go to do that and how does all that work. We'll cover all of that. But what are you going to do with Copilot when we're talking about things like working with it in Windows 11, working with it in Edge? Well, things are definitely changing. As a matter of fact, by the end of the year in the first quarter of 2025, hardware manufacturers are also including Copilot, not only with, of course, Microsoft's operating system, but built in with the hardware. So I happen to have a laptop that I bought a couple of months ago that does have a Copilot button to it, which it will automatically launch the Copilot app. Now, it is something that could be configured to launch something else, but it is the Copilot icon, and I use it every single day to open my Copilot app. So we want to always find easy ways to get to the tools we want to use. So just so you know, there will be, and I do have a little bit on this, there will be Copilot PCs that are starting to be released that will have the full capabilities of additional things that we'll be able to do. In all essence, Copilot itself is and can be connected to your Microsoft 365. It does depend on if you have the license through Microsoft. I do have the license, so most of the demonstrations that I'll be doing today, I will be using my actual Microsoft account, but you can have a free version of Copilot. Doesn't give you the full capabilities of everything that the paid for version gives you, which is similar to what we get with ChatGPT as well. I still use ChatGPT as a chatting tool to, get information about specific things. But I have to say I probably use Copilot more because of the integration that it also is going to give me with my other Microsoft apps. So we'll see some examples of how that works together. So how do you get to Copilot? Well, there's several ways. So just like anything with Microsoft, there's going to be multiple ways for you to get to Copilot. So right now, I'm on my internet browser, and if I just go to, like right now, I'm just on my home tab. I'm on a new tab on my internet browser. So just like normal, you see all your, depending on what your home tab is, I happen to be on MSN. So that happens to be my home tab. You can see the search for the web. I can go and search for anything that I want to be searching for, but notice there's a Copilot icon on the right-hand side. So I have quick, easy access to Copilot and by the way, Microsoft owns MSN. That's why Copilot is built right into this. So I can just simply click Copilot right here. What it's going to do is automatically take me to the m365.cloud.microsoft website where it takes me into Copilot. So it took me directly to the app for Copilot, just so you know that's what it did. So I'm just going to go ahead and close that window for right now because I'll demonstrate that another way. But just so you can kind of get used to this, look for the Copilot icon. The Copilot icon is going to be showing up in a lot of different places as you are using the internet. Okay, just so you know that. Also, of course, if you have the license for it, you can have it implemented within your Outlook, your Excel, your PowerPoint, Word, etc., and utilize it there. And I was just mentioning when we were talking as a group, I was just mentioning that I also utilize Copilot when I'm doing Power Apps. So, I mean, seriously, Copilot can be used pretty much anywhere within all your Microsoft programs. So when we talk about what Copilot can do, Copilot itself can answer questions for you. It can summarize information for you. It can create images. It can analyze an image and show you similar images. It has more image capability today than it has. It's really been enhanced over I'm going to say probably since March. There's been some major changes to the way and the responses that we get, the way we get the responses and the responses themselves. They keep improving things to make it quicker and easier to use. But there's still some things that we'll have to discuss before the end of our session today because it all depends on what you're asking it. So we'll get into some of that. But it really can answer whatever it is that you want to be asking it. It can even write you a poem. Give it a topic, it can write you a poem. It can do just about anything that you can imagine. So we'll see some demonstrations on how that works. But what is the difference between Microsoft Copilot and the paid for version of Copilot? The big difference is going to be the paid for version does have the latest and greatest updates as it's being trained. It does have the latest and greatest updates, and its ability to connect with your 365 apps is going to be the big part of it. So for me, it's really worth $20 a month for me to be able to use it because then I have Copilot available to just ask it, what do I have going on for the next week? I just have to ask the question and Copilot will automatically give it to me. It can summarize emails for me. It can help me prepare for a meeting. It can be used during a meeting. It has a lot of connectivity back and forth with multiple applications, not just one at a time. So anyway, just so you're aware of that. And also on page 2 is the Copilot plus PCs, just a little bit on that where they did the introduction for that. So those are starting to roll out a lot more here during the holiday season, trying to get everybody to jump on board with that. But watch for updates because there's a few things that they didn't know about when they were shipped. So there will be some updates that you'll want to run right away if you're going to do that. Okay. But let's talk about some other ways that we can actually be accessing and how we're going to be using Microsoft Copilot. So Edge. Microsoft Edge as an internet browser. So I happen to be using Microsoft Edge as my internet browser, and Copilot is built in. So I don't have to add it. It is a part of it. But you do, once again, have to have that account, whether you did the free one or you have a work account. It can be then connected to Copilot. So I can see my Copilot icon at the top right of my screen when I'm on my internet browser. So all I'm going to do is click on it to show you what do you get. And by the way, I should show you the settings on this as well, because if you don't have the sidebar added to your browser by going into your settings, you can add the sidebar. That's where Copilot exists, is in the sidebar. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but when I first came in, it was a little slow. That's one of the issues that they're working on right now. Just so you know, it's not a big deal, but they're going to be getting that fixed. And I'll talk about refreshing here in a minute. When it refreshes, it's a little bit sluggish too, but that'll be improved here very shortly. But basically what you're going to get when you come into Copilot this way is it's going to give you, it knows who you are because of course you're logged in as your account, and it says great to see you. Sometimes it will say good morning, good afternoon, that type of thing. And then it's going to give you these little windows. So you could see all these little windows here. And I'm just kind of scrolling down on this long list of different things. This is going to change. As you use Copilot and you use your internet browser, it will change because it can be personalized. Let me show you where you would go to do the personalization. It's at the top right of the Copilot window. So if you go to the menu at the top right, from that drop down, and by the way, that's where your settings can be accessed, but if you click on this personalization, you can choose to slide this button over to share data across Copilot. Now, I had turned mine off for a while. I can slide it to turn it off again. I had turned it off because I didn't want all that information in there, so I kind of refreshed it. So now I just turned it back on this morning, just so you know. So it hasn't really started collecting things that I search on and my personal preferences based on my internet searches and different things. It hasn't really done much of that just yet, but it will catch up with that. So I'm just going to close this. And by the way, it does have a learn more. If you want to learn more about that personalization, definitely click on that. But what it's giving me is some daily information. So this is the latest news that it's going to come up with. So, of course, I'm in the US, so yesterday Trump and Biden are incoming and outgoing presidents had a meeting together, so that's big news. So that's one of the things that came up. But you could see that it's got these other topics that I could drill into, and eventually these are going to be more related to my topics, things that I might be looking for. So we'll be able to go into any of those, okay? Just so you can see all these. Okay, but anyway, that's going to be one way that you could get into different information related to Copilot. They will be making a few adjustments to this as well as they make, some tweaks to different things. But I think that's going to be a great tool to be able to use. But Where we usually go when we use any type of Copilot activities is down in the chat area. So you can see down at the very bottom, we've got this message center area where I could just message Copilot. And Copilot's going to go out to the internet, or if I'm using my work account, it will do more than just the internet. It can actually look for things based on my cloud-based applications. So it can look for things directly within my computer. So anyway, that's where we could go to do searches. So if I wanted to do a search to find flights from Tampa to Seattle on 11/15, oh wait, that's tomorrow. 24, I could type that in just like we normally would with ChatGPT or any of our other chatbot programs. And it's going to automatically search the internet and different content to locate that information. So I can find a one-way flight on Frontier for $73. I could do Alaska Air, which is very common. I could go to Expedia. It's giving me all these different choices on the results that it's giving me. So it's a great way. And by the way, compare this with just doing a regular internet search. So if I did that same search, and let me bring this up, if I go to an internet browser, I just have to get that menu out of my way there. Let me just go to an internet browser and do that same search just to show you. Copilot is actually going to give you more detailed information than finding 121 results is what I ended up getting when I searched a regular internet browser. So you want to kind of think about that. This is going to narrow things down for you to be the more specific we are on what we're asking. Because if I said I need an AM flight and I needed to, be a coach seating or whatever, I could be putting all that criteria in my search, and it's going to narrow things down a lot more than doing just a general search. So on a general search, first I'm going to get everybody that paid for the advertising. Then it's going to get into, look at all these pages. I have 121,000 results to scan through. So just as you kind of think about that, what would you rather use? Me, I'd rather use Copilot. The more, of course, detailed you are in your search criteria, your prompting, the better results you will get. Because I could have specifically said Alaska Air, to check Alaska Air flights. But just so you know what you're going to get the difference of Copilot versus a regular internet search. But the other thing that I wanted to mention when I'm on this is it automatically gave me links. So it's giving me links to actually get to results that it gave me. So I could go directly to Expedia, go directly to Kayak, that kind of a thing. And then what can be an important feature is because any of these AI tools, they're never going to be 100% accurate. We always have to keep that in the backs of our minds because it's being trained, that kind of a thing. So it does have a thumbs up and a thumbs down. So if it doesn't give you good information, do the thumbs down so Microsoft keeps track of that and then they can get those fixed. Otherwise, if it was good, give it a thumbs up. Your other icon that you're going to see is going to be your copy icon. So we can actually copy the contents of the result of the search so that we could paste it wherever we needed to paste it. So if I was looking this up for a coworker or whatever, I would have the capability of being able to share it with them. Whether I put it in my OneNote notebook, I put it in an email, whatever the case might be. So just so you can see, that's how that piece of it works. But the other thing is at the bottom of this window where I went in and did the search. Of course, I could continue my conversation about these flights, but you'll notice that the icon at the bottom left is the Copilot icon. If I click that Copilot icon, it's going to take me back to the home page. So now it's not the Copilot icon at the bottom left. It's actually my view history. So it's a toggle button that changes between the two. So once you do a search, it changes to the home. So home, of course, brings you back to this window. So just so you knew that. But if I click on this view history, what that's actually going to do is bring up any of the information that I've recently been searching on. And notice on the right-hand side, it has a delete. So if I wanted to actually click this delete icon, it can delete this conversation. And it says once you delete it, the message is going to be gone forever. I'm just going to click delete, just so you know that you don't have to keep everything. And I believe that it's 90 days that it keeps things now. But anyway, just so you know that you can get back into a search that you previously had done. Now, I just clicked off to a free spot for it to close that history, just so you know. And then this plus sign, this is kind of a great little feature when it comes to working with any of the AI chatbot tools. But if I click this plus sign, I could start a brand new chat conversation, or I could upload an image. Now, I will be talking about images in a couple of different places when it comes to using Copilot, but just so you can see, I'm going to go ahead and click Upload Image, and it wants to know, of course, where my image is. Come on, there it is. It wants to know where is my image coming from. So I'm just going to go over to Pictures. I'll just grab any picture just so you can see how, come on, see how this can work. Let me jump back in there. I know there were pictures in there, but okay, this is really starting to act kind of strange. I'm just going to click cancel on that for a second. Let me come back and try that again. Close that and reopen it. All right. I'm going to go to upload image. So that's kind of some of those little quirky things that I've seen happening lately. But I've done this quite a few times, so let me see if I can get it to work with no issues this time. I'm going to be patient with it because it was still loading a whole bunch of things. So I'll just go into a folder. Once again, I'm being patient. I didn't think I had that many pictures in there. I thought it would open a little bit quicker than the other one that I was trying to go into. But what it's going to do is allow me to ask questions and I could even have it do changes to that image. So anyway, I'm not going to demonstrate it there. I'll demonstrate images in another place, but just so you could see that it does have that image capability. Now, I don't know if it's my computer doing something weird or if it's the actual update that they have, but I'll demonstrate this in images in a different way because, of course, we have multiple ways to do the same thing. But if I wanted to do that brand new chat, I could do that start new chat. Start new chat is just going to really basically take you to a blank window on the right hand side where I'm still going to need to type in my details down at the bottom. So just so you know, that's the way that that works. So where it has Copilot can learn about your interests and your personalization based on your experiences, it's talking more about that. So that's where it can start changing that home page. But once again, whatever it is that you want to be chatting with the system, it's a matter of giving it the prompts that it needs to have. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to see if it will create an image for me. Instead of me going out and getting an image, I'm going to ask it to create an image for me. And I'm not going to type it in. Most of the time for me, I don't like to type my whole thing in because if we talk about how we prompt, we need to give it more information than less. We need to give it a lot more detail than what you might expect to have it really narrow down what it is that you're looking for. Otherwise, it has to keep asking more questions. Which sometimes can be a good thing because we may not have thought of everything, but the more you give it up front, the better the result will be. I'm going to actually click on the microphone icon so that I can actually just have a voice conversation instead of physically typing. I forgot to turn on my sound so that you could hear that, but it said, "Hey, Jolynn, how's your day treating you?" So it actually listens, it knows who I am, and it talks directly with me, similar to what you're going to find with programs like Siri. So just so you could see that, and then I'm going to go ahead and click allow that because that's my first time using it since I reset things. So there it goes. So you can see that it says I'm listening. So Copilot, can you create an image that will be of a person fishing in a stream in the mountains? I wish I would have remembered to turn my sound on so you could hear what Copilot is telling me. Copilot was actually just telling me that I can't create an image for you through here, but I think that that sounds like a very beautiful setting. It said a few more things than that, but just so you know, it was talking with me. So it's an actual conversation, and we can actually change the settings to be a different voice for the chat or for the Copilot to talk back and forth with you, just so you know. Down at the bottom, if I go into the settings icon, here's some, and it says your conversation will be reset to change the voice. I could go into any one of these. So if I go into Canyon, just so you, now it said, "Hey, Jolynn, how's the human world today?" But anyway, just so you could see that it's doing all this. I'm going to go ahead and click on the X to close the microphone because I'll demonstrate how to do an image, but I'm going to do it in a different place. So this particular this side pane of using Copilot is a great way to search, but I'm going to go back to the home page here because also I could dive into any of the daily news. So if I click on this, it's automatically taking me into what's happening today. And it's actually, this is called Copilot Daily. Once again, it's talking to me and it's telling me some history about what happened on this day. It's got a play button down here and I can stop it. So it's really going through, and I have some information in your handout also on Copilot Daily. But once I click on that, the top headline, it automatically is going through and telling me the other headlines that are going on. So just so you know, I really like that. That's a feature that we didn't have the capability of doing before, and having the voice with it now, I think is absolutely fantastic. So what happened in the past before we had the voice, is we would have to sit and read everything. It would only display everything on the screen. Now, of course, if we still wanted to get information, we could, of course, do searches to get the physical writing of the information. But I kind of like this. And it does have settings down at the bottom as well. So if you go into the gears, if you decided you wanted to change that voice again, you certainly can. Then it's going to, because I tell you, some people like specific voices. So anyway, just so you could see, that's what's going to happen when you click on those tiles. I'm going to go ahead and click the X again so I can be back at the home screen. And you could see that it had this headset. The headset was letting us know that it was going to be running a video, that it was going to be talking with us, just so you know what that meant. But if I come down and I say, find the best lighting for your photos, which that is something that it brought up, it's going to actually bring up all of that detail. But once again, it's telling me at the top that as I'm using it, it's going to continue to personalize this for me so that it will bring up things that are more relevant for what it is that I do searches for and the different things that I'm using the internet for. But otherwise, it gave me some details on, doing lighting. So it took me directly into that topic. But I can't wait for it to get caught up to what really will be more relevant for what it is that I want. So looking forward to that. It should be by tomorrow. It should kind of catch up to things, but I kind of like that. So anyway, I'm going to go back to the home again, just so you can see. You really want to scroll all the way down because it's amazing what it's going to end up with. I've seen some examples that I had before of different searches that I had done, and that's kind of why I cleaned out my cookies and everything, because it does have a setting to clean out your cookies for Copilot, so it can kind of get reset. So it can be kind of retaught again as well. But anyway, it does tell you right at the bottom. I wanted to make sure that you understand this again, that Copilot uses AI, so check for mistakes. So the information that it's giving you, there could be mistakes that are happening to that information, just so you keep that in mind. But where else can I actually use Copilot? So if I don't want to use it on this side pane, which by the way, there is a refresh button up at the top as well that you can refresh it. And once it um, gets your personalization going, it will refresh to different topics as well. Or if there were new things that had happened that were released during the day, it can refresh those topics for today as well, that Copilot Daily. Just so you know, it's got that refresh button at the top. But I'm going to click on the X to close it. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to close this search result that I had done when I did that demonstration. And I'm going to go to the Bing Internet page. So I'm on the Bing Internet search. And as you can see, if you did what I mentioned earlier, I have the Copilot icon in a couple of different places. I have it still, just like I did on my MSN homepage, I have search for the web, and on the right-hand side, I have my Copilot icon. Notice that it also is giving me a microphone, and it's got this little camera icon. I'll demonstrate each of those here in just a moment. But before I do those, at the top of the menu going across Microsoft Bing, I also have an icon for Copilot. If I click the icon here for Copilot, it's going to take me into the Copilot app again, where I am logged in to my Microsoft account. Therefore, it brings up my Copilot for Microsoft. I'll talk more about how this is all going to be useful for you to be working with here in just a minute. But just so you know, you do get different results depending on where it is that you're clicking on the Copilot icon. So if you go to the top right, it's going to give you that pane on the right-hand side. If you're using the Copilot icon or a Copilot button from your keyboard, it's going to take you into the app itself, which is either going to be connected to your personal account or to your business account. I'll show you that you can switch if you needed to. But otherwise, what I wanted to show you was we have some other great tools that we can be using besides going to the Copilot icon at the top and using those Discover cards that will be personalized as you start using things. I wanted to talk about, kind of what are some other things that you might be using Copilot to do. Well, definitely some things that you're going to be using it for is to look things up. So a lot of times we want to do searches with Copilot. And let's say that I want to find, what is the latest Copilot Plus PCs coming out. I'm going to just click on the microphone. Click allow. Won't ask me that again, but come on. What are the latest PCs? It didn't give me a chance to finish, but and it's actually talking to me, but let me come back here. What are the latest HP PCs that have Copilot built in? It will automatically take me, and it's actually telling me the first headline, and it's talking about MSN. And so I'm just going to click the microphone icon to stop it from talking, because otherwise it was actually summarizing some results of what it is that it brought up. But as you can see, there's a lot of organizations that are actually creating these Copilot Plus PCs. HP has been on the board, Lenovo, a lot of people are actually using these, just so you could see what that would give you. It's going to give you that search result. But let me jump back in there again, because there's a couple of other things that I think are absolutely fantastic tools that we can be using from here that you definitely want to do a practice with, because there's a lot of different things that are available that are built into this. And one of them is going to be this camera. This camera is called visual search. So I'm going to click on this search using image, this visual search, and it brings up this window, which of course this is in your handout as well, but you definitely want to give this a try. So what you're going to see at the very top is I can drag one or more images in to this window. So if I had my file explorer or whatever, I could just drag them in, or I could click browse to navigate to my computer. Or if I had an image that I wanted to paste in here, I could paste the image or the URL. So if I did a copy and then I could do a paste, I could do that. Or I can have it take a picture. Otherwise, down at the bottom, these are some samples that you could use to try it. So first, I'm going to just click on this one, just so you can see this is something that it would give you as a kind of, let's see what the result is. What does it do with these images? So this is actually providing other images that are related to the image that came up. Plus, it can give you some other information about these. So as I scroll down, here's all these other of the same, because it knew that that was the Sydney Harbor Bridge. So it automatically was bringing up the information related to it. So I'm just going to go to the left-hand side underneath the image, and I'm going to click this visual search again. And it can bring up different results depending on, of course, the image. Otherwise, up here, I could go into related content, but it's telling me that it looks like it's this. I could go into images, or I could do web searches based on this as well. So now I'm into web searches related to the Sydney Opera House. So I think that's really a super easy, great tool to use. And I think that's something that a lot of people are really starting to utilize. So once again, all I did was come to Bing, which I'm in Bing all the time anyway, and I clicked on this icon, which will give me the ability to go into visual searching. So this time though, I mean, I could take a picture. Let me go ahead and have it take a picture. Well, actually, let me cancel that because I don't want it to use my camera right now because I'm already on the camera. So let me close that. Instead, I want to browse. I'm going to click browse, and I'm going to have it bring up a picture that I have on my computer. So sometimes we're going to, especially once we get into using SharePoint and all kinds of things, we end up with all these images that we're not quite sure where these images came from because we forgot to document them or whatever the case might be. Let me just go into an image, and I'm going to click open. So we can grab an image that is on our computer. Like I said, we can copy and paste it, etc. But it will automatically take a look at whatever that image is. For some reason, it came in sideways, but that's okay. It knew that it was a bunch of flowers, so it actually brought up all these different images of flowers. Okay. Now, it didn't narrow it down to the exact type of flower, as I can see. So it wasn't narrowed down too much, but it's a hibiscus. But if I go into related content, it will once again refresh this to see different things, or I can go into related products, and that refreshes my search result over here as well. But depending on what it is, if it was a picture that I took of the San Francisco Golden Gate Bridge or whatever the case might be, it would bring us, of course, into more information about it. So just so you can see, this is a newer, more enhanced feature that they're giving us. So I've done it with a lot of different types of images to just kind of practice with it to see the results that it gives. A lot of the, just single type things that I've put in, they're too generic and it doesn't give you corresponding information. But if you take a picture of a building, if it knows that building, it's going to bring you up to information. So if you're trying to, if you're doing a scavenger hunt and you need to know what this building is, I'm going to tell you, Copilot's the answer. You just have to put that image in here and it's going to automatically find it for you. So to me, that is a great tool that is built in. So Copilot can be accessed through a lot of different places, but one of the things that has kind of happened with this update is if I open up Copilot through my taskbar down at the bottom of my screen, because I have my Copilot icon is on my taskbar at the bottom of my screen. If I click that Copilot icon, it's going to take me to the same places that I've showed you that I could get to from other places as well. From Bing, from the search bar, they take me directly into the Copilot app. From here, you can see that it says it looks like I've signed into my work account. Just so you know, it's telling me that to continue using Copilot in this app, I could switch to a personal account. But to be honest, it's not going to actually switch me back to a personal account right now because of the way my Copilot is set up. Because I want my work to be my primary. I don't want my personal account to be my primary on my computer. So mine is going to stay with my work account. But they work the same as far as searching is concerned. So this is the typical Copilot app that we would be using for different information. So as you can see at the top right, it's got my profile circle. This is referring to my business account, but if I wanted to switch to my personal, I could click switch to personal. But the way that, like I said, the way that I have mine configured, I can't. It's not going to flip me back. But anyway, that's okay. So I'm going to say go to Copilot for work. So it will take me directly to the Copilot for work. By the way, I can reconfigure my icon to skip that window. So I probably will do that because I know I'm only going to be working with I'm only going to be using Copilot with my work account. So I'm probably going to just change my shortcut to go directly to this web address. If you look at the web address up at the top, it's really m365.cloud.microsoft is the web address to get straight into Copilot. Copilot could be saved to your favorites bar up at the top. Copilot can also be accessed through Outlook. It can be accessed through Microsoft Teams. We can access Copilot from so many different other applications now. Log into your Microsoft account, lots and lots of different places. I probably use Copilot the most through Microsoft Teams. That's probably where I access it the most. So if I go into Microsoft Teams, and let me just kind of show you how I do this because this is something I do every day. On the left-hand side of my navigation pane, I added the Copilot icon. So if I click Copilot here through Microsoft Teams, it's going to take me into that same place. So whether I'm going in through my Windows button on my taskbar, or I'm going into Copilot this way, Copilot works the same in most regards. If I have, of course, my work account connected to it, I have access to my 365 apps. If I'm just using a personal account, it of course will only allow me to do, web browsing, web searching, which takes me beyond the capabilities of what we saw previously when I was going to the right-hand side. So this is what I technically use 99% of the time. This is where I go. So what it's going to give you up at the top, and it's letting you know this is your AI assistant, but it's giving me quick access to different prompts. So they call these suggested prompts, and it's a good idea to kind of look up some better information about prompting, especially if this is your first time prompting. But the more information you give it, of course, the better your details will be. So I could technically start with any of these built-in prompts, or I could go down to the bottom to the message area and I could just chat with Copilot. But you can see that I have a little bit more going on down here in the bottom that I'll talk about here in a second. But keep in mind, I am using my business account. So I'm going to say get calendar information. Matthew, before I continue with this, did you have a question from someone? You're muted.
Sorry.
No problem.
Someone was wondering if you could repeat the information about what comes with Windows 11 versus paid add-ons or upgrades.
Could you go ahead and turn your mic speaker up a little bit?
Oh.
There we go.
Oh, sorry. It was just
much better.
So someone was asking if you could repeat the information about what comes with Windows 11 versus paid add-ons or upgrades.
Yes, so with Windows 11, and if you have the latest update to Windows 11, if you have a little bit older of a computer, so my computer is a couple months old, so I just had an update to my Windows 11. I have, which I've had since I got my computer, I've had the icon for Copilot down at the bottom. If you have the updates to Microsoft um, Edge, you will have the new Copilot on the right-hand side, but you have to have that sidebar open. That has to be configured in your settings to make sure that you see that so that you'd be able to access it that way. Otherwise, if you buy a brand new computer, it's going to come with the Copilot, of course, on your taskbar by default, but that is something that can be removed. So if you're not going to use it that way, you could remove it. Or like I was saying, I'm going to reconfigure mine so it bypasses the personal side and just goes to my business. It can be reconfigured as well. Okay, so I hope that helped. All right. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this icon for get calendar information. And what this will allow me then to do is to look for information coming up, in any one of these. I can say I want to understand main points about a file, whatever the case would be. Whichever one I click on, it can actually come down to the bottom with that message. Or I could just simply come down to the bottom and start typing. So let's say that I want to summarize this file, and I'm going to put a slash, which is the common, if you're a programmer, it's common for a lot of different things, but I can put in a slash and have it start searching for the file that I want it to use. So I'm going to start typing in Excel dashboards as an example. And I'm going to press my Enter key or click the paper airplane to send at the bottom right. It's telling me that something went wrong. Let me see if I can get that to generate here. And just so you know, also down at the bottom, okay, so just so you know, it's bringing up the results of what it is. For a second there, it was confused, but it did bring up the results. So I happened to be recently in a document called Excel dashboards. So that's what it brought up. As soon as I said, summarize some information based on this file, it automatically went out to my computer, saw in my cloud that I had this file called Excel dashboards. So it automatically says, be happy to help you with that, and it summarized that document without me having to go to the bottom and click the paperclip icon to add in content to have it analyzed. I could just tell it right in the chat. But notice down in this typing area, so this has been enhanced recently, and down in the typing area, it also has add people, files, or more for better results. So if I actually click on that, I had this do this the other day that it won't bring it up unless I do my slash. So just so you know, they're working on that. I'll come back to that here in a second. But I could actually put in a person as well. So I'll just put in Hannah and just press enter and see what it comes up. So it's looking through my Microsoft information, it's combing through my contacts, my documents, and it came back and found a Hannah that I have recently been communicating with. So it looks like you've been collaborating with Hannah quite a bit recently. And I just said Hannah. If I had multiple Hannahs that I was recently working with, it would have brought up the different ones. And basically what it's doing is it's telling me that I had emails, here's some files that you were working with, here's meetings, and here's some chatting. So having Copilot to be able to do all this through, to me, is unbelievable. I couldn't have even dreamed of being able to ever do this. It would have been one of my wildest dreams to be able to do this. So to have it come up with this is fantastic. And notice that it's actually giving me links. So this is a link to Hannah's contact card. This is a link to this LinkedIn document. This is a link to a file, etc. And I have these down here as well because it's corresponding with the responses. So great way to be able to find information very quickly and very easily. So by the way, I also have this edit pages. Matthew, before I go with that, did you have a question?
Yeah, we just have a
Good.
question wondering, is the Microsoft Copilot secure, or will the information you enter be shared with the public?
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad this question got asked.
It's a great question.
It's serious, seriously. We need to be thinking about that. It does not get shared anywhere. So whatever it is that we're doing with this, it is our personal information. It does not go anywhere. It doesn't go back to Microsoft. It doesn't get sold to other companies, anything like that. Just so you know, it is very secure. That is a huge issue that we always need to stop and think about. Anytime we hear that word AI, we always have to have red flags up. Just know that this is definitely secure. But what it's doing is amazing because it was searching my account on Microsoft. So it's looking at everything that was related to Hannah. Isn't that crazy? Love
It's
it.
wild.
But definitely secure. So other people
Okay.
are not going to be able to see my information. Okay?
Okay, and
Yes.
correct me if I'm wrong, there are things we should be we shouldn't share with Copilot, and there are things that we should. Is
Well,
that correct?
we want to always be careful to not be putting anything confidential. And don't be searching for something confidential. You always want to be careful with those types of things because you could end up sharing something with someone and forget that within that you were doing confidential information. So you got to be careful. And keep in the backs of your minds that everything that you get as an answer back is only as good as what it could find, what it was trained at, and what it is finding on the internet. So we
Right.
always want to double check our facts. And I don't take everything that it gives me. If I get a summary of something, I'm not just going to copy and paste it and use it. I go through it and kind of put it in my own words and things as well. Okay. But
Right.
anyway, lots of cool things. But yes, we definitely want to be always a little cautious. And I think that should be the case no matter what we're doing. Because, Matthew, if we're talking about emails,
Mhm.
if I send you an email with some confidential information in it, you could share it with anybody else too. So we always have
Right.
to, kind of have that confidence level of saying, okay, this is where I'm putting this information. This is who I'm sharing it with. It's going to stay confidential. Okay.
All
So
right.
that was a good subject. I'm glad they asked that question. All right. So anyway, just so you can see, from this result, I could either copy the results of this or I could go in and edit in Pages. This is a brand new feature built into Copilot. Edit in Pages is one of my favorite things that we'll get into a little bit more in another session. But basically, it's compiling the information from my search results on a separate piece of paper. So I don't have to go to a Word document and kind of start compiling everything. I have it all right here. And not to take this too much further today because we don't have enough time, but it does have the share capability at the top right. So I can share this page that I compile my results in. So anyway, just so you know, this is a brand new feature called Edit in Pages. We've got a lot of other ones coming, but we'll talk more about those in the next couple months as they're being kind of evaluated and fixed. But on the right-hand side, I want to kind of jump over to the right-hand side. This visual creator is an option that you can come into as well. This is now built in where it will help you to generate an image. So earlier when I was doing an image, this is a tool that I would use. So I can give it whatever it is in the search or choose one of these prompts up at the top that I could be utilizing as well. So there's a lot of changes coming to Copilot. Some of these we'll get back into as we do Copilot with our other Microsoft 365 apps. We'll jump back into a few more of these. But I did forget, I got to jump back here because I did forget to demonstrate a really great feature. So I want to go back to, let's say that I'm doing a search on the internet and I see this paragraph of information about North America trips and I want to select this text. As soon as I select it, I can get this menu and ask Copilot information about this paragraph. So select text in a web page and you can ask Copilot about it. So explore North America with your experts. It's got all these different, and it says which destination excites you the most. So I could go in and continue the conversation with Copilot about what it is that I had selected. So just so you know, select text, like if I select Grand Canyon, oops, sorry, I'm not very good at selecting text. I could ask Copilot about the Grand Canyon. So I think this is a interactive Copilot tool that, to me, I can't live without. I use that every single day, multiple times throughout the day. And it's opening it in the Copilot window on the right-hand side, just so you know. Great feature, but I did forget to mention that, and I wanted to make sure that I jumped back to that here as we're going through different things. But I want to jump back to that Copilot icon or the Copilot app itself. I'm going to close the right-hand side because when I was going into any of this information, it doesn't have to be using my 365 account. It can be just used to do a search. So if I want to be searching for flights like I talked about earlier, I want to be searching for anything, or how would you describe how to use Copilot? Oops, I have to spell Copilot correctly. I can just press enter and it's going to come back with information related to it. And the best thing about using this is that it can give you suggested questions at the bottom. Show me an example of Copilot generating code, or how does Copilot handle privacy and security? Let me click on that. So it gives you, we have suggested prompts that we can be using to get a conversation started to kind of help practice, but you can be typing in anything that you want to look up. If I want to look up more information about the Grand Canyon, I don't go to the internet and get millions and millions of results. I usually will narrow it down to say, this is the information I want to know about hiking to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. I'm going to put that information in Copilot because it's going to give me more specific information. And by the way, Matthew, here's that information about the privacy.
Oh, look at that.
Data privacy, no personal data storage, compliance with regulations, transparency. So there's your answer. But did somebody
Perfect.
else have a question?
It looks like we have no further questions. I do want to
All right.
just, before we close out though, I'd love to clarify the difference between the paid version of Copilot and the unpaid version of Copilot.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I am using the paid for version. So I have direct connection with my Microsoft account. Direct connection with my Microsoft account.
Mhm.
If I am not using the paid for version, I'm going to use it like ChatGPT, where I can have it help me summarize a document. I can have it, but I have to give it the document. It won't find it on my computer like I
Right.
demonstrated. I have to attach it. So it's more manual than automatic.
Right.
Highly recommend, if you can, get the paid for license. It's going to change your life. And I'm not kidding. It will change your life. And it's only getting better. But yes, if anybody has
Nice.
any questions, now would be a good time, but we can jump into.
All right. Well, yeah, if there's no further questions, let's wrap it up for today. I'd like to thank Jolynn. For any training related questions, please feel free to reach out to us at training@smartdolphins.com and visit our website to catch up on our upcoming events. For any other business inquiries, please contact us at info@smartdolphins.com. We'd really appreciate it if you could take a moment to leave us a review on Google, whether that's for the webinar or your experience with us personally. It really helps us out. Simply click the link in the chat to access our review page. Your support helps us reach more people and empower them with the tools they need. Thank you again for joining us today. Here's a quick reminder of our upcoming events. On November 21st, we are covering Microsoft Teams virtual meetings. November 28th, we're doing cybersecurity for leaders. December 5th, we're covering Microsoft Outlook, Planner, and To Do. Please visit our website for details and registration. Thanks again, everyone, and have a wonderful afternoon.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jolynn.
You bet. Bye. Good job, Matthew.
Bye. Thanks.
Thanks, Jolene. Bye-bye.